Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather coming at you with another update. And this update, we're going to be talking about a major winter storm with an Arctic blast and some blizzard-like conditions. So before I do get started, if you do like weather-related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. And I do ask you to share this video with your friends and family on social media. All right, so let's get started. We got a lot to talk about this morning. Here is the latest watches and warnings map, and we've got high wind warnings for portions of Oklahoma into Kansas. So you're talking 40 to 50 mile per hour winds out there today. But then we have winter storm watches and even blizzard conditions for Iowa, from Nebraska through Iowa into Wisconsin and getting into Michigan today. And then we also have winter weather advisories for Montana getting into Idaho. So let me kind of walk you through. And of course, we've got, freeze warnings down here, all the way down here in Florida. So let's kind of walk you through the maps. Here's the latest surface map as is this morning. Here's that developing system that's going to be coming across Nebraska today, going into Iowa, getting into Minnesota later on, and Wisconsin. This is going to be a kind of a fast moving system. So as this traverses across from west to east, lifting a little bit northeast today, going into Wisconsin. So places like Des Moines is going to be picking up some snow, maybe 1 to 3 inches, and a little bit higher amounts as we get into, like, say, Davenport, and then Chicago, possibly 1 to 3 inches from this system. Then eventually into Detroit from this system, about 3 inches. So some of your heavier amounts are going to be further north, as getting into Green Bay, say 5 inches. And as this continues moving across, like I said, it's going to be a kind of a fast moving system that'll eventually get into the northeast, but kind of snow into the interior portions. So along the interior portions, like Cleveland, getting into Buffalo, like Scranton, maybe 1 to 3 inches, but nothing on the coast. It's gonna be all rain on the coast, but just you're talking maybe 1 to 3 inches from this initial system. But we have another system just on the heels of it. So this, now we're talking getting into Saturday morning. You can see there's no Arctic air in place as of yet. I mean, down here to the south, you can see where the red lines are. That's kind of where your warmer air is, well above average temperatures. But it is starting to press, and you can see this classic cross-polar flow setup, and that's why we have these systems just traverses across west to east. Quick moving systems, but dumping some snow along the way. So these will start to add up, because these are just every 6-hour time frames into the northwest here. So places like Idaho, getting into Montana, we could be picking up some heavier snows over the next several days as these systems come across. But by the time we get into Sunday, then that's when we're talking about the true Arctic air already tries to kind of move from Canada into the northern interior of the United States. They already have actually wind chill warnings out for parts of the Dakotas and to Minnesota. We'll get in the wind chills here in a little bit, but we're talking 30, 40 below zero temperatures as far as the wind chill. So that is some dangerous cold that's on the way. And here, look at by Sunday morning, you can kind of see those 40 below wind chills are going to be going over Minnesota by then, and you're talking frostbite in probably 10 minutes. So you do not need to have any exposed skin. So this is definitely something to be look out for, of those dangerously high wind chills, and that will start to move a little bit further south. I mean, anything in the green here is below zero wind chills. So those wind chills will even start to include parts of Missouri by the time we get into Sunday morning. But then that Arctic air is still well to the north. There's nothing down to the south as of yet. We're talking Sunday, say Super Bowl. So by the time we get into Monday, that Arctic air tries to keep pressing, right? But it's going to be kind of held back a little bit because it's very shallow. So that eventually it's going to lose out. But for right now, by Monday, it'll be bottled up to the north, and then that warmer air well to the south. And where we have that transition zone, we'll have that second snowstorm kind of starting to take shape again in a lot of the places that saw the first snowstorm. So some snow, including into Iowa again, going into Michigan, and then that will traverse across into the northern interiors of the Northeast. And by the time we get into Monday morning, that colder air, you can see it still kind of presses a little bit further south. And so we're still getting dangerously, almost 50 degrees below zero wind chills. That is some serious stuff, folks. This is some true Arctic air on the way, and that will continue to press south. Even Iowa now, after those 1 to 2 inch snowstorms, are going to be dealing with some dangerously cold wind chills by the time Monday morning rolls around the 8th, of 20, 30 degrees below zero wind chills. And those wind chills will keep pressing further south into Kansas, going into Missouri and Illinois and Indiana. The colder air is mainly in the central United States, and it'll push south first, and then it'll move east. So that's why I'm kind of concentrating on the central, because that's where the true Arctic air is. And it's pretty warmer in the northwest, getting into the south and the northeast, because a lot of the Arctic air is going to be bottled up in the central U.S., pressing south first and then moving east. But that's going to be at least a week away. And then as this continues moving across, you can kind of see that transition zone now. Now that as that Arctic air continues to press south, and then we have those overriding conditions, that's where we could start to seeing some icy kind of setups by the time we get into Monday night into Tuesday morning, the 9th by then. And places like Missouri could start seeing some little bit of ice on top of some snow, as well as this continues moving across, dumping more snow into Illinois, getting into Indiana and Ohio. And then that will continue just lifting off to the northeast with our second snowstorm by then, including those icy setups along that boundary line, and then more snow as we lift off to the northeast. So if you kind of look at some of the temperatures by then on Tuesday, that Arctic air continues to press. So these are your wind chills by Tuesday morning, even further south now. So now we're talking 20s into Texas, into Arkansas, getting into Tennessee. And then those below zero temperatures, wind chills will be well to the north. But that Arctic air will continue to press southward as we go into next week. Now, between now, Thursday, and Tuesday, the 9th, we're talking by the time Tuesday rolls around with that demarcation line, we could be dealing with some ice into parts of Missouri, get into southern Illinois, get into southern Indiana and Ohio by then. So that's definitely going to be something to look out for. But as far as the snow totals with those two events, you're talking anywhere from here's the northwest flow. You can see the chart down here at the bottom. There's some fairly decent heavy amounts into the northwest and some of the higher ski countries into Idaho and into Montana as that cold presses. You can see this is the classic cross polar flow setup of several feet of snow coming in for the northwest. But then that with those second snowstorms, we're talking 1 to 3 inches in places like Des Moines, but then higher amounts as you get into Davenport. With those two storms, we could be talking, say, 3 inches from that first snowstorm in Chicago, and then several more inches. So to put you at maybe 6 to 8 inches total between now and Tuesday. And then some of those heavier amounts could be even some double-digit totals into northern Indiana, northern Ohio, getting into, say, Cleveland, maybe Detroit, Michigan. With those two storms, could be picking up 6 to 8 inches of snow. Green Bay, some of your heavier amounts into Marquette with maybe 8 to 10 inches along the coast in Cleveland. By the lake, it could be 6 to 8 inches. But then as we get into the northeast, a lot of the snow amounts will start to die down and just be, say, 1 to 3 inches for the northeast, and nothing along the coast. This is just over the next 5 days. And then the difference in the Canadian model is that it just has that colder air trying to push a little bit further south. And that's why it has that snow banding a little bit further south than say the Euro has it right now. But either way, that cold air is coming. And so here I included a wind gust waft. I mean, right now we got those high wind warnings. We've got blizzard-like conditions going on in Iowa. So we got people traveling for the next 5 days. We got truck drivers on the road. So here's your winds that you could be running into over the next 5 days between now and Tuesday, the 9th, going into Wednesday, the 10th. Yeah, look at the chart down here. Some 50, 60 mile per hour gust and the northwest regions up here. But even the greens, I mean, at times you could be experiencing 35, 40, 45 mile per hour wind gust all on these in the greens. And there's sporadic little higher amounts into Kansas, and especially if we get up to the Great Lakes, where we're going to be dealing with those snowstorms as well. So, but now let's take attention a little bit further south. I mean, obviously that cold air starts to press, and by the time we get to next Friday, we're talking February the 12th, things get really interesting for the south. So that obviously that cold air will continue to press south and it'll eventually win out. And here's your low temperatures by Friday morning. You're talking a good chunk of say 80 to 90% of the country is going to be experiencing freezing temperatures. Here's Texas, like 29 degrees in Dallas, Fort Worth. But even down here, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, going into Georgia. I mean, widespread 20s all the way for the deep south. And look at this. We might have a developing trough approaching ahead. So we could be looking at overrunning conditions possibly. I don't know exactly where the setup's going to be for the south, but we've got cold air in place. And by the time we get into, Thursday and Friday of next week, and especially probably by next weekend, we could be dealing with snow and ice setups like all the way down to the I-20 corridor and even further south into Houston, possibly in the Rio Grande Valley, into Louisiana, well down to the southeast. So we could be looking at some snow and ice setups all the way down to the deep south because we'll have a lot of cold air in place. Here's noontime temperatures by next Saturday, February the 13th. We're talking 25 degrees in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're talking 20s in Louisiana, Mississippi. So a lot cold air is going to be well in place. So that's no question. The cold air is going to be very locked in place all the way down to the deep south. And then we have a trough coming in from the south. We talked about the active Southern Oscillation Index, about the southern branch trying to get active. But I do feel by the time we get into late next week, going into possibly next weekend, we might be dealing with some snow and ice setups all the way down to this deep south, all the way down to the coast for your south and to southeast. So that's definitely something I'm going to be watching over the next several days. So definitely stay tuned to this channel and catch the latest updates. Be sure to like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.